Good evening once again. Welcome to Branco Broadcast. I am Bob Branco. This evening we have a very special guest, Lynnette Tatem. She's going to be talking a lot about computers, and she will give us a brief presentation and then take questions. Hello, Lynnette.
Hello, Bob, and hello, everyone. I am, I like to say I'm an assistive technology trainer / consultant. In how long? Well, for over 20 years, 21 years now. And I started with JAWS. I'm certain perhaps some of you use the JAWS for Windows screen reader. I was working at the Lighthouse in New York City at the time, and they came and they turned off all of our screens, and we all had a fit, those of us who had any usable vision. But they turned off, those who had full vision were really, set on their heads there. And they said, we have this great new screen reader, and it's, I don't know if it was, I think it was JAWS for Windows at the time, a JAWS Access with Speech. And so we all set to learning that, and I was on the road to using a full-blown screen reader and keystrokes. Previously, I had pretty good vision. I only have vision in one eye. I've never had vision in my left eye, but I had some decent vision in my right eye. My right eye had cataract. I had it removed later on, but back then it wasn't ripe, as they like to say. So I could see fairly well. I still use the cane though for identification and finding the ruts in the sidewalk that I couldn't see and all of that. So it was a good thing that even as a partially sighted person, I decided to do that. And another thing I decided to do, because I was kind of moving around with Zoom text, and for those of you who have some vision, that Zoom text is put out by AI Squared, who now have Window Eyes as well. Window Eyes is a screen reader, and some of you may use that. I was using Zoom text, and I was moving around on the screen slowly but surely, and the print was getting larger and all of that kind of thing. And I started with WordPerfect. And I remember it had a big blue screen with white letters, and we just loved it. But, I said, wait a minute. I had learned way back when I was going to become a transcriptionist how to use keystrokes. And I started using keystrokes more and more with the large print so that I didn't have to move the mouse. Okay, I'm typing, and where's the mouse? And sometimes the mouse was tracking, and sometimes it wasn't tracking. So when I was using the keystrokes, it always tracked for some reason. So that's just the way it was programmed. And so I started using keystrokes. And back in the day, we had, if anybody recalls, they had Control F1, Shift F1, Alt F1, and F1 by itself. So we had to memorize, all of those things. They had a little cheat sheet on top, but who could see that? So once I learned how to, maneuver and do all of that with WordPerfect and such, not my first job. My first job was transcriptionist for, believe it or not, for the Immigration and Naturalization Service, now known as Homeland Security, And I worked there, and then my next job was working for Rehabilitation International. So I was kind of sticking my toe in the waters of accessibility, if you will. When I was at Immigration and Naturalization Service, I was one of a handful of people with visual disabilities. And so then I moved on, and the more I moved on, the more I realized that, my vision was changing. I'm not saying it was changing greatly, but you notice these things. And the next time, once I was rehabilitated, in quotes, I got my first computer from the New York State Commission for the Blind and Visually Impaired. It used to be CBVH, yes, visually handicapped, and now it's something like NYVH, NYCB or something, or NYSCB, New York State Commission for the Blind. And they said, oh, you are rehabilitated, Ms. Tatum, so, there isn't much we can do for you. So I set out to get a grant, and I got a grant. And the next grant I got, I don't even think I got, I had Zoom text already. And I'm thinking I might have installed it, but by then I was really hooked on using a screen reader with keystrokes. And I thought, oh, I'm just much faster, I'm more productive, and we learn as we go, folks, because at rehabilitation I had, when I was using screen magnification and trying to see what I was doing, and it was just crazy. I wasn't catching all of my errors, and so the boss was very nice, actually. But one day I said, Lynnette, you learned how to do this stuff with just keystrokes. And when I got the grant, I ordered a screen reader. And I thought, okay, I'm going to use the screen reader with the spell checker, and we're going to see how it goes. And it went beautifully. My boss came back and she said, whatever you're doing, keep doing. So from there, I got a call in 1994. And someone asked me, and this was a person who had been a job coach for me early in life there, and she asked me, Lynnette, do you want to teach the kids on Saturday, just a little light typing and whatever, kind of busy work or, paragraphs or whatever, have some word fun with them. And I thought, okay, I will do it. It was coming on to Christmas, and I said I can use the extra money. So I did that, and that was in December of 94. By January of 1995, I had a job at Lighthouse International, or whatever it was called then. It's gone through several name permutations. But the Lighthouse International, who knows what all else. Now it's actually Lighthouse Guild, because it's merged with the Jewish Guild. The Guild is now just the Guild, after they changed the name from the Jewish Guild, it just became the Guild, and now it's Lighthouse Guild. And I don't know if you all know, the buildings have been, let's say we're moving to a new space, and we're going to become one. So the Lighthouse Building and the Guild Building, all of the folks are going to be moving somewhere near Lincoln Center. So I got this job in 1995 as what they called an office skills teacher. And this was my foray into, actually teaching screen magnification. I think we were still doing WordPerfect at the time, and Windows and JAWS and all of that. And I was actually using, for a time there, and I don't remember the timeline at all, but I started using WindowWise. I think someone gave me a copy or something. And I started to become familiar with that. And by the end of my stint there, I think I was there for 6 years. They had made me an assistive technology instructor, and I would basically, the computer equipment would come to the Lighthouse. I would call up the person, the student. They would come in. I would show them how to set it up, how to work with the bit, and then how to, box it up, and they took it home. And that's what I did as an assistive tech person. And then by then, JAWS was on the scene, big time, and we had Zoom text, and we weren't really using WindowWise so much then. I was using it, as I said, I was using it at home, but I wasn't using it at the job. So from there, I said, well, after 6 years, my friend said, Lynnette, they're looking for someone at the computer center for visually impaired people at Baruch. You should apply. And I thought, why should I do that? I'm okay here at the Lighthouse, sort of, maybe. It was a good job. And I said, okay, I'll try. And it must have been meant to be, because I went, I had to do several interviews, and it was my first time with meeting with a bunch of people at one time. It's pretty scary. Some of these interviews, You're going from, at the lighthouse, I went from person to person to person, and that was already crazy. But with this one, I met with several people, and then I had to teach the director, I can't even think of her title at this moment. Let's say the manager, and some of the tutors who were there. That was like my trial by fire. But I got the job. I was up in Albany at an AT, or I guess an assistive tech meeting that they have every year to talk about new advances in assistive technology. And Maria got, she's my partner in crime in life. She got a call from the manager, and she said, Lynnette, you have to call Judy back. So I did, and they offered the job to me, and I took it, and I was there for 14 years, and then I needed a break. And during that 14 years, I taught from soup to nuts. I taught Word. Let me start with keyboarding. I taught keyboarding. I taught keyboarding at the Lighthouse, too. Oh, my gracious. But keyboarding, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Zoom text, JAWS, a bit of window eye, HTML. I taught people how to create. That was fun, I have to say. I even dabbled a bit in podcasting, just the basics of Windows, all of that in those 14 years. And while I was doing it there at the job, I really enjoyed just doing it. I love tech. I have a Victor Reader Stream New Generation. I have Bluetooth speakers. I just love tech. I'm talking to you now on an iPhone 6 Plus, and I'm thinking I'm not going to upgrade because I'm thinking, what else could a phone possibly do for me that I cannot do now? And I have an iPod and an iPod Touch and an iPad, so I think that I'm okay. The last piece of the puzzle is that for so long I taught Word, Microsoft Word. Oh, my gosh. I could wake up in the middle of the night. I used to dream I was in the classroom. And I would be walking around the classroom, and I would be talking to the students. This is how bad it was, folks. But I would give notes, and inevitably people would come without the notes, or the tape broke. Oh, my gosh. We started with floppy disks. I remember one student, we would give quizzes, and the quiz, it was open book, so they could look at their notes. One person wanted it on cassette, a floppy disk, and Braille. So I had to put, notes out in every format possible. That turned into, of course, like a flash drive, So now we give out flash drives. We say, don't lose it, folks, because this is, this is going to have your notes. It's going to have your labs. The labs are things that when you give the lesson, then you give a lab, and then you give a test in like 3 weeks, and then another test at the end, and that kind of thing. So I left this for a year because I was burnt out. There's just no doubt. I couldn't take it anymore. I said, if I have to teach Control B one more time, I will faint or something. So I used to just put my head down on the desk when people would ask the same question. So I needed a break, so I took one. And then just this year I said, well, it wouldn't be horrible to have a little extra income coming in addition to the bit I've made from the Word app that I created last summer. I started it last summer, and my developer, and it's an iOS app. It's called ML Word Tips, Keyboard Shortcut Tips for MS Word. And it's for MS Word for Windows. And what it is, in thinking about my students and how they, were constantly, I forgot my notes, or I didn't get to read them, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. We got every excuse, including the dog ate it. I said, maybe they will benefit from having those who have iDevices. I would love to get into the Android realm. I have an Android device that I was playing with the other day, and I thought, well, but nevertheless, I would still love to be able to put the app in Android form. Right now, it is in iOS form only, and it can be used on all iOS products. It is concise. Let's say, how can I put this? For those of you who use iOS devices or who can think of a menu system where you let's say it says formatting text. You double tap on that, and it opens formatting text. To format text, you do so and forth and this and that, Control B, Control U, or whatever it is. And when you're done, you simply get out of it. I don't have a lot of verbiage going on, although I do have my trademark humor throughout. I like to say sprinkled throughout. And so far it's done. The app came out November 13, a fateful day to be sure in Paris, and also, Friday the 13th. But that is when the app, I had no control over that. It would have been out a little earlier, but they said you've got to change the name, because it's going to be confusing. So instead of it coming out on the 6th or earlier, it came out on the 13th, and it's done fairly well from the 13th of November to March even. Sales have dipped now some, but you know what? This is to be expected in any business. When it comes out, it's all hot and everything and so forth. So, but it's been an extremely, how can I put this? It's been such a learning experience. But I wanted to say something a little more about the app. I have to say, and I'm so pleased, that I've gotten such great feedback on it because it is so simple. You pick it up, you get past, there's really nothing. You open it up, and there's the menu system right there. There it is. Blah, 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 blah. The list. You double tap, you go into it, there's a back button, you go back to the menu. And at the very end, I give you a list of commands that I've gone through in the app. So if you've just forgotten something, you can always go in there and say, oh, it's, Control U or whatever you need. So I used HTML to mark it up so that those who know how to use the iOS rotor can do that. You can browse by headings, and that was another hit. Because honestly, I could have just put it out there as text, but I said, no, I can't do that. I want to be able to create lists, and I guess I took what I learned so many years ago, and that hasn't changed. Thank you so much, HTML. It hasn't changed in all these years, so I was able to, to keep it, to do that. I was able to write it. So that's what I've done. Now, I've gone back to, thank you so much. Thank you. I just brought something to drink. So that's, I gave her a hug already. Excuse me. So that's where I am. I've tried to give you a bit of the history. Another thing I like in the app, it has something called Essentials, because as an instructor, I realized that there are things that you'll want to know all the time. How do I select text? How do I save text? And how do I move the cursor? So down at the bottom left, we have the Essentials button. And when you open that, I don't remember the right order, but it's like saving text, selecting text, and cursor movement. It might be cursor movement first, but something like that. So, and, I did say that I am back at CCVIP part-time, so, I'll be using my own app maybe. But, so that's pretty much where I am. I've done a ton of conferences, and I don't know, I guess I'm an assistive technology and information evangelist. I said I think my dream job would be sitting in front of a computer, having people call me, and my finding information for them, because I have a group called InfoShare. I host a group called InfoShare, and we've decided, I can't believe it's almost 10 years. We started in 2006. I'd like it to grow a bit, but we have our faithful few, and I appreciate them greatly. But I told them, when I have something to show, we should get together. Like the Echo, I have the Amazon Echo, and I'm at some point going to get the Echo Dot, and so that I can, we can go to our space and then I can actually pass something around. But until then, we do something very much like what I'm doing right now, and that's just gathering information on throughout the month, putting it together, and in no particular order. I try, but, as stuff comes up, stuff comes up. As you know, CSUN just ended, and I've been listening to a ton of podcasts on that. That's a passion of mine. I watch a few TV shows, but I listen to a ton of podcasts, including the famous Blind Bargains, ACB Main Menu, sometimes Blind Abilities, Cool Blind Tech, and a ton of, just stuff that has nothing to do with visual impairment. So that is a bit about me. And if anybody, Bob, if you want to unmute or whatever you do, I'm happy to take any questions.
I have questions.
I have a question. Could you explain what Bluetooth speakers are?
Okay, from what I understand, do you guys remember infrared? They came out with like the standard before. It's a wireless standard.
Yep.
And Bluetooth speakers, I have Bluetooth speakers and I have a Bluetooth headset I just purchased maybe a month ago. Where you don't need any wires. You do what's called pairing. Let's say I wanted to pair a speaker with my iPhone. I would go to settings. First of all, I would turn on the device and put it in pairing mode, however I've been instructed to do that. And then I would go to settings. Not that far down, I would say the third option down is Bluetooth. And I would look for my device in the Bluetooth list, in that list of Bluetooth devices. Now, if there's only one there, you don't have to worry. You double tap on it, and then it says, sometimes I have to tell you, sometimes the keyboards, you have to put in a code. So if you're pairing a Bluetooth keyboard with your iDevice, they might want you to put in 5622. Okay, and VoiceOver reads that. I'm a huge VoiceOver user. I do not use Zoom. I'm a total VoiceOver user, and I'm still fortunate enough to be able to read a bit if the conditions are right. So, and it's on light text on a dark background. I do better with that combination. So you double tap on your Bluetooth device, and it should say, paired. It's successfully paired, or you get some confirmatory message. And I'll tell you, I have a Bose SoundLink Mini 2 speaker at home, and I have hooked up, let's see, I think my iPhone is hooked up to it now. When I go home, I turn on, I have my Bluetooth on, and it pairs in about 10 seconds or less. And it tells me it's paired. So, and she says, now paired to Lynnette's iPhone, or something like that. So that's what Bluetooth is. It's a beautiful thing. One thing I found that as I said, I have a Bluetooth headset, and it's lovely and everything, and you wear it around your neck, and you put the earbuds in your ear. I found if it's too close to my body, I feel a little nauseous, and I read that Bluetooth has a bit of radiation, not a lot, but a little. But if you're sensitive to that kind of thing, it can make you feel a little ill. So now I know not to, wear them, when I'm trying to sleep or something, because they might touch my skin. But so that's Bluetooth. Yeah.
All right, Alan, you are next.
Did I understand you, Lynnette, that you do via telephone, you can do some consultation work?
That's so funny you should say that. I have done that, actually. What I do, when I mentioned the InfoShare NYC is a group that I started, but it's basically what I'm doing now, talking to people, this such and such is out, this is how you use Bluetooth. Oh, the other day, I said, maybe I should show them how to do something. So because I'm a huge Windows user, soon to be a Mac user, but kicking and screaming. But just because I want to learn a bit of programming. But I taught folks how to make a shortcut keys. Shortcut keys are marvelous things. you can make a shortcut key, let's say, to your email. And so let's say you do Control-Alt-M, and your mail will open up. You can be in any application. You can be surfing. You can be in your media player. You can be on the Bard site or wherever you are, and you can do a Control-Alt-M, and zoop, your email will pop up. So I have.
Yeah, I understand all that. Let's try and keep it more simple for right now. Like yes, or no. Do you work in consultation in groups, or can you do a one-on-one?
I can do a one-on-one.
All right. How much do you charge, or do you do it by contract?
No, I charge $50 an hour, and that's my fee. Now, I'm negotiable, but that's my general rate.
$50 an hour. Would you do a contract for X number of hours?
Yes, we can talk about that. Let's say, in fact, I have that coming up on the 11th. Yeah, that's totally possible. The thing would be is as long as you, let's say we do this by phone or something like that, as long as you can hear me well through whatever you're listening to, I'm good to go.
I am a teacher, and I have several disabled students, and the state of really doesn't have anyone teaching JAWS, Window Eyes, Zoom, or any of the other adaptive systems at this point, and the school system really has their backs up against the wall. So what I'm thinking is someone such as yourself that can work on a one-on-one with a student, but because of the cost for the school system, it could be prohibitive unless we could possibly work out a contract situation with the school.
I understand. Now, I'm going to stop you right there only because it would be, I'm going to be honest with you, it would be a little difficult for me at this point to work with a visual person. If they're able to, when I was working, and I guess I'll be in the same situation since I'm back there, but when I was working for CCVIP on a regular basis, I had a tutor who could at least, because sometimes you get folks who are visual and you say, okay, what are you seeing? Where are you on the screen? That kind of thing, and they are not able to tell you. And also, did you press so-and-so key, or did you do blah, blah, blah? It gets somehow with a screen reader, I would probably only work with screen reader users because I think it would be easy for all concerned.
Oh, can you enslave their computer so as they hit certain keystrokes, you know what they're doing?
I can probably use something like an NVDA remote or something like that, but they would also have to have NVDA remote. I don't know if ZooText has something like that, but I know JAWS Tandem exists, so I know we can do that.
Okay, very good. Well, I've got to run. I have to go and teach, so I wish you well, and I will talk it over with the school system, and if they can use your services, they will be in touch.
Fabulous. I thank you very much in advance.
Lynn, why don't you give out your information so that Alan will pass it along and so that we know it?
Yes, very good. Well, my email is the thing that I use the most. It's Techlyn, that's TECHLYNNE 46 @gmail.com. My phone number is 917-330-7159. The only thing I ask about the phone number is if anyone calls, if let's say you say, oh, I heard Lynnette speak and blah, blah, blah. If they call me, please have them leave a message. And I will get back to them. I know that sounds crazy, but I get so many unidentified numbers and such. I just don't, some I call back and some don't, the numbers don't even exist. So I know it's like a robocall. So, and they're not just 800 these days. They're all kinds of numbers.
Yep.
Anyone else for a question?
Yeah, Lynnette, I think that's awesome that someone likes tech as much as I do. I've been in computers a long time, and I like your attitude because I have a lot of low vision changing issues, and you're using the cane and I do that, and it's great. And I think the biggest problem we have, I mean, teaching's great and having those skills, but I think sometimes in the quote real world, like I just went to the Career Center the other day, and their JAWS was having an antivirus problem, and they couldn't find anyone to fix it. So that's a big issue as far as getting it to employers, because I mean isn't that our goal, is to be employed?
It is.
So I've seen a lot of on both sides, but I definitely share your admiration for the tech and I have an iPod. I want to get an iPhone at some point, but I think it's awesome that you're doing that, and it's really is what I think we have to be doing as far as, you know, if we want to stay up to date. I mean, if you don't, that's fine, but I've always loved tech. I think we'd have a competition on who likes tech more. I think it's wonderful that, you know, it's like, this is great.
Well, I have always, I mean, you know, I go back to the records, cassettes. I've always loved music, and you know, it started with that, and boom boxes or little cassette play, everything. I just love tech.
Absolutely.
So I'm with you.
Yeah.
And I thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Yes, I have a question, Lynn.
Yes.
What screen reader do you like the best? What is your preference?
Jump right out and say JAWS for Windows.
Yeah, I think that's the best.
Yeah.
Having said that, Windows is great, and I used to use Windows every day of my life for several years. But when I got my job at the computer center, they were using JAWS. This was the contract that they'd gotten from it. You know what? Frankly, it's always been, and who's gotten there first? Because JAWS came to the Lighthouse when I was working there. Windows folks didn't come to give us a presentation, you know. And so that's it's always like Windows is always just a day or so behind. It's like we used to say, a day late and $1 short. But when I didn't have a license for, you know, I couldn't afford JAWS at the time, then that's when I was able to get a copy of Windows, and I really started using it, and I liked it. So I really have a love for both, but I have to say I can use JAWS flawlessly, and for all of you who use JAWS, you know, then you don't have to think about what you're doing. Some of you know, I used to write for the Matilda Ziegler. I didn't have to think about anything. I'm just writing, okay, and I know I do this to do that and do that to do this, and it's a seamless process. So there you go. Now I can do Windows too because I have Office. So so when absolutely pushed, I can.
Anyone else?
I think I have completely stunned and floored everybody.
Well, actually, I do have another question for you.
Yes.
I was told by somebody that they thought that the JAWS, I guess, and I don't know too much about that. Mm-hmm. Some people do, but I never, you know, I didn't really get into computers until 2000s, really. I knew a little bit about older computers, but I was told that was very accessible.
What is the word you said, that what was accessible?
I guess that came before Windows.
DOS?
Yeah.
DOS? Oh God, wait.
That was great, huh? A long time ago.
I don't know too much about it, so I really, you know.
Okay.
DOS is outdated.
Some people really like it.
Yeah. DOS is totally outdated, and in fact,
oh yeah.
We've seen our hair pulling when we were using Windows for the first time. Oh God. Does anybody remember copy, A?
Yeah. I used to know all those commands.
Star, B colon, or A colon.
Yeah.
But we loved it. We loved the command line. We would start our program through batch files. Oh,
we went into Windows kicking and screaming, remember? When Windows came out, we were kicking and screaming. Oh, yeah.
God, yes. Oh, what is this madness called Windows?
Yeah.
So, but that's where JAWS kind of had the edge when they came to Lighthouse to show us. They turned off our screens, as I said, and we were forced, at least for the few hours they were there, to at least be able to maneuver. And then it was up to all of us to sort of dive in head first, if you will, and, and get into it. But, yeah, DOS is, I can't think of anybody who's using it now, but I'm going to put a little bit of, like a twist on that. I just read the other day on a main menu list that a person is using XP, so Windows XP, and it's dangerous to use XP only because if you're using it on the web, they're no longer supporting, they're no longer updating.
And that's a shame.
I actually do know someone who's using...
I liked Windows XP. Windows 7 is good, but Windows, there was something about XP that was good.
I know someone who's still using DOS. They just do email mostly. And I said, when your computer dies, you're going to have a serious problem with having to learn Windows.
I agree with you.
But it's like,
I totally agree. For anybody who listens to Blind Bargains podcast or podcasts in just at all, if you listen to the latest, and you can go to blindbargains.com and hear it there too, they've got a beautiful new media player. And they have a wonderful Blind Bargains 57, I think it is, extra, or CSUN extra something interviews, and it is, all I'll say is if you get a chance to listen, because it is truly a scream. I think those of you who have used the tech will know what I mean. I will say no more.
Anyone else? Ed, are you still there?
What do you think of Windows 10? I haven't upgraded to 10 yet.
I have not upgraded, but I intend to.
Okay.
Just because at some point, I think I'm going to, that's another one I'm going to do, kicking and screaming, because they said if you have Windows 7, stick with it for now.
Okay.
If you and make sure you have a sighted person there.
Yeah, that's the problem, upgrading. Sometimes when I had my Apple, I upgraded one time, the iOS whatever, and it kicked out all my voiceover. I had to call, and I needed a sighted person. That's kind of frustrating, but you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. I started a student just a few like last week, and he was smart. He got the $99 a year tech help from Best Buy, and he went to them, and they upgraded for him. They say if you're on Windows 7, you can stick there for now, for a bit, but if you're on Windows 8.1, they said, really, folks, go to Windows 10. So, yeah. But I'm happy with my Windows 7 for now.
Me too.
Yeah.
I have 8. Lynn, I have Windows 8. It took me a long time to agree to upgrade from XP. I did not want to leave XP.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I have 8 now, and I don't want to leave 8. I keep getting reminders to upgrade to 10. Frankly, I'm tired of upgrading.
I know.
Oh, God, I said that too. I don't know if you probably do know the Microsoft Help Desk. They're just marvelous. I've had them do a couple of things for me, and I told them that very same thing. I said, I'm so tired of upgrading. Please, just, why is Microsoft doing this to us? But I understand the grief, believe me.
Yeah, I like the Apple disability line for the visually impaired and deaf because they help.
I have used it often. I love them.
I
use it mostly for my phone and such like that.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else for a question?
Yeah, Bob.
Don.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Lynn,
yes.
Computers is a little out of my league, but but that's okay. I enjoyed the interview.
I'm glad.
Yeah. Did I hear you say you went to Perkins School for the Blind?
No, I'm not with Perkins. I'm with the Lighthouse. It's an organization. It's not a school. I went to the.
I heard that. I heard all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you gave all your history, maybe I heard it wrong. But I thought you said you went to Perkins.
No, the only.
Okay. I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm sorry.
What school did you go to, Lynn?
I went, well, that's another sad story, but I just wanted to say first that the only Perkins I need is the Perkins Brailer. And the school I went to was the New York Institute. It used to be called for the Education of the Blind. And unfortunately, I didn't go there long enough, and then I went to, that was the only school for the blind I went to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there. That's it.
Anyone else?
I was just going to say, Bob, if I just, unless you're going to give me time to do this before you close out, I was going to thank everyone. And
well, I don't hear anybody else, so you can do that and also give out your information one more time for us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I will tell you that this was wonderful for me because I was walking back and forth and talking, and it just flowed, you know. So I thank you all for listening, and those of you who know folks or who are using words, you know, give the Word app a try, ML Word Kit. It's $4.99 in the App Store, and you know, use my contact information if you like. Again, it's Techlynne, TECHLYNNE 46@gmail.com. Phone number is 917-330-7159. Leave a message. And if you say, oh, I heard you on the Branco broadcast, then I'll know, you know. So.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Thanks for offering your good wisdom to all of us, and I hope you have a very fine week, and I hope it gets warmer where you're at. Certainly, we don't need any more snow.
No.
Nope.
Thank you very much.
Take care, and thanks for participating on Branco Broadcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.